Hi, my name is Newell Davis with World Composting, and today we're going to take a look at the 14-gallon tote that I built a while ago and see how it's doing. This is the one that has the red lid with some holes in the top, and I had added my African Nightcrawlers to. Now, this is the last bin that I have with African Nightcrawlers in it, and unfortunately with everything that's been going on, I have not looked at this bin at all. I think I've added some water and that's it. I haven't even added any food. And we're going to see if there's any worms left in here. This might be a sad video, as this might be the last of my African Nightcrawler system, which has been started off really good with my African Nightcrawlers, but over the years they've just struggled with the cooler temperatures that we've had, and unfortunately this system was just not something that I really paid attention to as much as my other bag systems that have a lot more worms in them. So with that, let's take a look at the system, see if we can find any worms in it, and see if there's anything left we can do. I might add some food just to see if there's some cocoons in there that maybe that'll hatch with some food and they'll go and repopulate. That can happen with these systems as long as it's not fully dried out and like completely dust. But we're going to have to open it up and take a look and see how it is. So with that, let's take a look at our system. All right, here is our 14-gallon tote system. As I said, this is the one that has these nice mesh holes in the top that I glued down. Again, messed up over here a little bit. Needed it on the back side. Almost no moisture on the lid here. So as you can see here, actually, right down here, it's starting to dry out of it a little bit. Let me put this lid off to the side. And as I said, we're going to dig in here and see if anything is even alive. I don't know. The material shrunk down quite a bit. I see some trails along the sides from where worms have gone, but let's just go ahead and dig in here and we're going to see what we can find. Typically worms will dig down into the soil where it's moist to try to stay alive. Oh, look at this. Well, we are lucky here. We have a couple survivors, and there's another one right here on my glove. So we already have 2 survivors in this system. I'm just going to go ahead and move these over here to this corner. So we might be pretty lucky here. I was really worried. Oh, this one's a big one too. Another 2 survivors, it looks like. So we're pretty lucky here. I was able to keep a couple of these alive, it looks like, which is great. Actually, there's a third one here in that system, with the other 2 little ones we found. So we have some survivors here, which is great to see. I was really worried that this would be it for this system. I'm seeing more and more now. All right, this is good. This is a good sign. Another large one right here, although they are looking very, very weak at this time. They're going to need some food. We're going to need to figure out how we're going to move this around. Another large one right here. Look at that. I'm always surprised at how large these are, especially since they have not really had any water in a while. I thought we'd really be digging through here a lot longer before we found any, and they'd really be in one section. All right, now what is interesting here is, I don't know if you guys remember, here's another one right here, but I put in a barrier in the bottom here. And I don't know if you can see, we can see the holes here. I put in, I can pull some up, right here, I put in this burlap barrier, and it is already pretty gone. This is a, barrier that I thought would hold in some of the stuff that was there and really kind of keep everything better, but nope, they just chewed it right up. So, and more worms in these corners. I mean, I'm surprised. There's actually a lot of moisture in here, so this system worked pretty well for how long it's been. The worms are a little small, which happens when they aren't getting their necessary nutrients and everything. We're going to go ahead. Actually, you know what we're going to do? I think we're going to go ahead and try to do a side-to-side harvest here. Look, hold on. Look how large this one is. Look at that. Massive worm right there. And they seem to be doing okay in this system, it seems like. I see some more babies in here, so this system's doing a lot better than expected. Up another large one right here. Another baby and a couple jumping around. We're going to move all this over to one side, though, and kind of do what I was planning to do originally with this system now. So we're going to go ahead and just smooth this out over here. I'm shocked by the amount of worms in here, actually. I really thought that I would have lost this system. I thought that, and I see a whole bunch of babies still in the system, like right here. There's one that's moving around like crazy. Let's see if I can get them. Moving around like crazy here. Look at this. Just moving around like crazy. So they're active in here. Surprisingly, this system survived. So this just shows you how neglectful you can be as long as it's not cold temperatures with these African Nightcrawlers, I've learned. They're pretty resilient worms, but just not to cold temperatures. All right, so with that, we're going to just kind of smooth this out a little bit. As I said, we're going to We can leave some of this over here, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just add a whole thing of cardboard to this side and see if we can get the worms to sort of migrate into this area with cardboard and food and everything and get them to move in, and I can harvest that other side. So with that, I got a big bucket right here. Look at that. I got some cardboard. We're going to need obviously a lot more than that, but this is the start. So we're going to just go ahead and put that in, and we're going to add a little bit. You got to add a little bit of the stuff in here, and some of the worms obviously too. Well, let me get the worms out of there for now, since we have to add some water to this. This is just going to dry out. And I'm going to grab, actually, I've got my sprayer over here, and I'll leave a link down below to some sprayers. I do like using sprayers for my systems. It's just so much easier for multiple reasons, but one, I can also clean off my gloves. And I do recommend using gloves for anybody that's following along here. I know some people are like, why are you wearing gloves? But I do recommend them. It really helps my hands from getting stuff all over them, but also underneath my fingernails and turning them black. And also it protects my hands from drying out, which is a major issue that I've had in these systems where they've dried out. And then I have massive issues with my hands cracking and bleeding, and then putting my hands in these systems with that, and that's not a good idea. So I highly recommend gloves. I'll have links down below again also for those as well. So there we go. There's our first thing of moisture right there. And you can hear it draining into the bottom, unfortunately. That's going to happen is, it's not soaking in well enough, but that's okay. We can have some of it drain down there. We can clean it up later. Now what we need to do is we need to add some food. And I have my Vitamix output that I have. And I'm going to add a whole bunch of it over here. They do seem to like this. It heats up, which is nice for these worms especially. I'm just going to go ahead and spread this around. We're going to add in quite a bit here, actually, because we're going to make sure we give them a big feeding. Kind of get them going a little bit here. That's going to be quite a bit of food. It's really going to heat up. But we're going to mix it in with more paper too. But first thing we're going to do is we're also going to get this wet as well. Just want to get everything moist so that way it'll make sure that it heats up, get the microbes going. Now luckily I'm not putting anything frozen this time. If I was putting in frozen stuff I'd have to be careful of the worms, but what I can do here is I can just sort of move stuff around. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in a layer of worms at this point and some of our stuff over here, because we need to have the microbial material kind of mix in here and get in there. So that way the worms can actually digest things. So we're going to add a layer of this, the compost that's sort of done. Again, we're going to get it wet. Look at that, worms moving around like crazy with the water. They're probably going to get pretty excited over this because it's been so dry in here. There we go. We're going to kind of mix that all together. And again, I'm just cleaning off my gloves a little bit here before I do anything else. All right, now what we need, let's clean off a little bit more. Now what we need some more paper up top here. Now the question is do I want to layer this, or do I want to just add that much food and be done? I don't know yet. I think actually I might just add this much food and be done. But let me grab a whole bunch of paper here to put on top of this, and we're going to also saturate that paper with some biochar. So I just need to get more paper here. As I said, I'm kind of surprised. I really thought that wouldn't find many worms in here, and actually there's a whole bunch. So there we go. We got enough paper in the top here. Whew, dusty. All right, now for this, I do want to add biochar. So this is a little bit different. This is also really already a microbially rich material. Right now it's just going to be the liquid on top. Ooh, drip some on the floor. Right now there's a little bit of biochar in there, but primarily liquid. I'm going to scoop some out of the bottom here. Move my bucket just a little bit closer since I'm dripping all over the floor. You can see that time we got a chunk out. And a little bit more. This is a little harder to spread around and mix around, so I've got to kind of dump it where I can. And now what I'm going to do, just like I did before, I'm just going to move this around. See, this is a chunk of biochar right here. Just going to go ahead and mix this into all of this paper. This is also microbially active. It's a biochar And the way I make my biochar is I mix my charcoal that I make out back, which I have videos on if you check out my channel. And I use that to make this char, and then I add fish waste water to it for my fish tank. Again, I'm going to spray off my gloves here a little bit. And that's how I make this. So it's got a lot of microbes already in it because it's got fish waste in it that's been from the fish tank. And now I need to cover this up. So we got to mark this side as being the side that's fresh. We're going to try to harvest this side over here. We're going to harvest. And this side is going to be hopefully where all the worms go and migrate to. Now with that, I'm going to add just a little bit of moisture everywhere in here, just to get the worms some more moisture. You know, I'd like to make sure that there's enough moisture in here. There's plenty of moisture on this side, so I'm hoping they migrate over and this kind of dries out a little bit, but I don't want to, it's a little bit muddy right now, you can hear it, but I'd rather have it be a little bit muddy than too dry and cause issues. So with that, we're going to add a whole lot of moisture to this side, and we're going to go ahead, let me rinse off my gloves a little bit more. And with that, we're going to go ahead and let this sit. We're going to put the lid back on, and then hopefully in about 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be able to harvest this side. All the worms will migrate over here to this section that has all of the fresh bedding and food in it, and they'll leave this side alone, and we're only going to feed this side. So with that, let me grab the lid here. And as you can see right here, I've got this side is the harvest side, and I think I'm just going to grab a piece of tape and just sort of mark that side as well. So we're going to mark this side as the harvest side with that black tape. Hopefully I'll remember that for next time. But just in case I switch the, if I forget that this is the marker for it, I'll remember hopefully this black tape, that this is the side that we need to harvest. And we'll come back in a couple weeks and check this out and see if we can kind of harvest this side. Hopefully the worms have shifted over and get some castings out of the system so we can kind of have this sink down, because it is getting a little bit too filled for its system. I mean, this is pretty heavy right now. I mean, I can lift it, but if I was a smaller person, this would definitely be more of an issue, which is why I do love the 10-gallon totes over these 14-gallon totes. They're just a lot easier to maneuver around, and they never get quite as heavy as this. So with that, check out some of my other videos down below. I'll also have some links, and I also have built a worldcomposting.com website. If you can, please go check it out and see what you think. I'm constantly making changes to it as I'm sort of building this out from scratch, and I'm new to really designing websites. I'm not a great designer, so I've been getting some help on the side there for that. But let me know what you think, and check out that website and some of the articles and checklists I have if you're looking to do this yourself.